I waited 8 years for this movie. 8 damn years. And oh, what a glorious product this film turned out to be. Or did it? Blumhouse's new movie, Five Nights at Freddy's, is based on the horror video game franchise of the same name. In both the film and the game, we find our protagonist, Michael, who ends up as a night security guard for an old closed-down animatronic pizzeria. During Michael's stay, he has run-ins with the other occupants of the building, those being the animatronics themselves. That's all I'll say for the basic plot, as the story does differ between the games and the movie. I'll be splitting this review into 2 sections, the first being a spoiler-free review, and the second being a heavy spoiler talk. The timestamps will be in the description below.
Hey everyone, it's me, Purple Guy. I just wanted to say to subscribe to Antspalad and like this video. Don't forget to hit that bell icon to stay up to date on all this channel's latest uploads. And always come back on Tuesdays at 2 p.m. Central Time for a new video. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to go stuff some suits.
Let me just start out by saying I'm utterly blown away by this movie. I originally thought that this movie was actually going to be terrible. When the first trailer came out, I was not impressed at all. Nothing piqued my interest, and I felt like it was going to be just another terrible video game movie that was nothing less than a cash grab. This was cemented into my brain when I saw major outlets and internet personalities giving the movie atrocious reviews. I went into it thinking that I wasn't even going to be able to get through it because of how bad some people had actually described it. Fortunately, I actually really ended up liking this movie. I felt that the director Emma Tammy did a terrific job with the way that she captured almost every scene, and that every single person that worked on this movie was on their A game. I was also ecstatic to find out that the production actually chose to make these animatronics in real life with the help of the Jim Henson Company. Josh Hutcherson also does a phenomenal job with his performance as Michael, who's the protagonist of the film, as well as Matthew Lillard. But there are a few issues that need to be addressed about the movie from the get-go. First and foremost, this movie is not scary. With a premise being killer animatronics, I never actually felt any level of fear in my body. I understand why in the grand scheme of things, but it still left me wondering how I would rate this movie as a whole, considering some people might go into this expecting a horror movie. Which it should be. I was only ever given a shiver down my spine in the final act, when a certain thing was revealed. I'm not going to say what that certain thing is, but I'll get into it during the spoiler talk. The design of it, the camera work, the lighting, and set design really put a bow on top of all of this. Five Nights at Freddy's also relies heavily on jump scares and fake outs. It happens so often that it started to get on my nerves. The movie's a horror movie after all, and only PG-13, but with some of the approaches they took, they made it feel like it should have been rated PG. They showed almost no deaths on screen in the entire movie, which is insane. One of the biggest selling points of a horror movie is knowing that people are going to get axed off and seeing the terrible fates that the characters will face. Now, I know that may sound like psychotic of me to say, but dude, let's be for real. So many people are going into a horror movie to see death. They're going to see these people get murdered, and when there's nothing there for them to see, people are going to get bored and review bomb it, which we've been seeing. Another issue that I wanted to address was also the pacing of the film. I wouldn't necessarily say that the pacing was bad, but was extremely fast-paced. For example, the introduction of the film lasts only a little over a minute, which is insane. Most other films take their sweet time getting it in, or it's slow-paced. There's action happening every second of this movie, and it's not necessarily a bad thing, but it does drag it down in some areas. This isn't a huge concern that I found, as I feel the main story is engaging enough to be fully enthralled in the universe. This is now your warning. We are now nearing the end of my spoiler-free talk. But wait, don't click off the video yet. In the description, I put timestamps to when it's safe to continue watching without the worry of spoilers, and how I ultimately rate the film. But as for now, we have now entered the spoiler territory. You have 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, I just really got to get this out of the system before I actually talk about the main spoilers, but MatPat, you little piece of amazing content creator. You don't know how mad I was when I saw the game theorist himself on the big screen. It wasn't for the fact that he had lied or that I felt betrayed, but due to that hours before I sat down to enjoy what I believe is going to be a long-lasting franchise, I had been joking around with some of my close friends and saying that MatPat lied about being in the movie as a ploy to get more buzz going about it. I also correctly guessed he was going to state something about something being just a theory. Honestly, if this isn't more proof to pay close attention to my prediction videos, then I don't know what is. But I do have some actual scenes I'd like to talk about. The first being the fort building montage.
Skibbity toilet, skibbity skibbity toilet, 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 skibbity toilet, skibbity skibbity.
Now I have seen some wild things in horror movies, but I never expected to see this happen. Not in a million years. Scrolling through social media, I've seen some people bashing it so hard and others commenting about how it's so genius and how it resembles so much of the characters. But I stand somewhere in between. I believe that it was actually good at showcasing to what most fans forget. The animatronics, at the end of the day, are just children. But I think they could have done this way better. I think the addition of the montage made it come off very goofy and has the average moviegoer wondering why the hell they're watching Bonnie fall while building a fort and then putting in a Terminator 2 reference. I understand the importance of the scene, but I think that there were better angles and editing styles that could have been used. The next major thing that I wanted to talk about are the twists of the film. I think the twists were hinted way too much throughout the film. Most fans of the series knew Matthew Lillard was going to play Mr. Springtrap himself, William Afton, but the obvious hints toward it I think were a little overboard. Especially when they used the same hints for both of the twists. I mean, when Mike first meets Steve Raglan, he goes into way too much detail on a place where he's just setting up a job opportunity. And then after Mike accepts the job, he says to some sort of degree that he hopes to hear from him again. Like, you just threw that in the face of the audience. And I have the same to be said with Vanessa. She immediately goes to help Mike, but knows exactly where everything is. I will say, at least Mike caught on to that, because if he didn't, I was going to be so mad, and it was just going to be another ploy of people being stupid in horror movies. But on the topic of being mad, plus a little confused, what the fuck happened immediately after the final fight? Like, who is getting blamed for all these disappearances? They would all be tied back to Mike because of his employment, but they don't explain anything. Mike doesn't comment that his aunt got killed in the living room and that the police are doing an investigation on it. Not a single thing do they explain. The movie just goes from the final fight to, oh shit, we have to wrap this shit up. Like, it feels like they initially had more in the script, but it was all canned at the last second. And the final thing that I want to touch on was that they showed way too much of the end of the film in the trailers. Like, they quite literally showed almost every single kill in the trailers. When I first sat down to watch the movie, I was actually surprised that they decided to show everything from the second half of the movie compared to the first. That also caused a problem for the characters' fates. Like, obviously Mike wasn't going to die, but we saw the scene where Springtrap enters the final fight, cementing Mike was going to live. My main issue on this was with Vanessa. Why in the hell would they show her in the hospital for marketing? Why? That is one of the last scenes of the movie and a very pivotal part of the story. For the next movie, they seriously need to get this under control, or I'm not going to watch any promos that they release. I'm just going to go into it completely blind.
Five Nights at Freddy's, that's where I wanna be. Five Nights at...
Now, this is the moment this whole video has been built up to. How am I going to review the FNAF movie? It does have a lot of redeeming qualities, but not enough to keep it at a high rating. But my rating is actually going to be broken down into 3 categories. 3 different types of people you would be able to see yourself in. Those 3 categories are going to be movie critics, fans of the series, and casual movie goer. Movie critics. Looking at this movie from a critic's standpoint, there's a lot that could have been improved upon. The storytelling is just okay, but with the movie being very fast-paced and ending abruptly, I would have to rate it a 5 out of 10. Fans of the series. I feel like this should be the most obvious, but if you played the game and read the books and are open to new interpretations of the lore, then I would say that it is a must-see movie. 9 out of 10. Casual moviegoer. Five Nights at Freddy's definitely isn't the next Avengers Endgame, but if you're looking for a good movie to watch with some friends and have a good time while still being able to sleep at night, I would say give it a try. Hell, it's even on Peacock, which is running a $2 a month promo for college students. I'm not being paid to say this at all, but I feel like it's worth mentioning. Overall, for a casual moviegoer, I would rate Five Nights at Freddy's a 7 out of 10. Thank you so much for watching this video and continuing to show my channel support. If y'all want to see more of my videos, there'll be a video to the right showcasing my predictions for Marvel's Spider-Man 3. And to the left will be a video handpicked by YouTube just for you. Share in the comments what y'all think of the FNAF movie, and don't forget to have an amazing day.